Okay, so I don't know if I'm here or not. Happy Saturday morning. I hope everybody's doing okay. Um, let's see here. We had a little bit of a funny technological issue this morning. Good morning, Jamie. Good morning, Diane, Deb, Kim. I'm going to look really quick and see if I'm actually here. Tell me if you see me. All of a sudden, I was doing all the things. We were here and I was here, and then all of a sudden the screen went black. So please tell me if you're actually here and able to watch. Okay, I'm here. Thank you, Tara. That was so weird. This never happens on Saturday morning, but the screen went like completely black and I didn't know what happened. So, you know what? That is just the kind of day I've been having. Happy Saturday morning from Michelle and Olive and 2U Studios. Typically here every single Saturday morning at 9:30 in the morning, either recorded or live. And I'm happy to see the Yarny U's here. Diane, Tara, Belinda, Kim, Katrin, Lydia, Liz, Tracy, all the folks. Good. Jamie, Deb, Judy. Hi, Judy. Doris, Mary. Good morning. I'm so happy to be here live today. So I'm so tickled to be here. Just weird technology occasionally. We have got a lot to get to today. I am staring at a pile right now of WIPS that I have. I pulled some out. I've got like, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 here of WIPS that I pulled out, some from long ago. Some of you that have been with us since the beginning will recognize some of these. And I had to combat my shame to bring my WIPS out, but 2025 is the year of the WIP. And that's what we're doing in the Yarny U's and at Olive and 2U Studios. So we're going to get started this morning talking a little bit about WIPs. Now, I want to start off and let you know, if you got your newsletter this morning, you saw that you had a free download in there, and there are 2 sheets available to you. So check out the Yarny U's newsletter and take a look at that. And we're going to go over these shortly. So I'm going to give you a little bit of time before we go full forward and full steam ahead into WIPs. So if you haven't yet downloaded it, you can go do that. Maybe I often recommend that you have 2 devices available for the Saturday morning live just for these purposes. So you can order on one, watch on the other. I know some of you have me on your big screen TV. That's a little scary, I have to admit. But we're going to dive into the WIPs shortly. But before we do, I want to talk about snowpocalypse. How are you all doing? Are you surviving the snowpocalypse? I know here in Florida, the snowpocalypse is a fantasy. It's not actually happening. But for many places in the United States right now, there are sub-zero temperatures happening, lots of rain, snow, sleet, and that sort of thing. And let me just say before we talk about snowpocalypse, my first concern is that everybody remains safe, warm, and cozy during this. You absolutely want to be safe. I know that in some areas, it is literally sub-zero temperatures. So Tracy says more snow today. I want to say you're in Ohio right now, Tracy. Is that right? Is that happening in Ohio? And then I know some of you are like in Oklahoma, Texas, the Midwest, some in New England, perhaps. Mary Frick is in New England, unless she's here now. Oh, she's actually here now, I think, for Distaff Day. What was here at Distaff Day. But if you're in the snowpocalypse, please know that we want you to stay safe. But I got up yesterday and thought, you know what? We're all dealing with this weather issue, and we know that the Yarny U's love weather-inspired things. So I thought, why not turn the snowpocalypse into a stitch-pocalypse? You like what I did there? A little play on words. And let's use it as a time, because you're probably not going to be going outside a lot unless you have to leave for work. You're probably going to have a little bit more time inside. Why not take it as an opportunity to stitch up a storm, get started on some of those WIPs, start stitching up a storm and having fun with it. Connie says 15 days later, they still have some snow on the ground, patches of ice on the road. Next few days, minus wind chill, and that's in Kentucky. That sounds really, really rough. Liz, I know, up in Indiana, is having snow. She said they did get up to 40 degrees yesterday, so that's an improvement. I hope it sticks around. And then, oh dear, Lydia's gonna, I'm in shorts and flip-flops. And my daughter just got out of her shift and said her face is frozen solid. That's not good. Are you shorts in Michigan? Or are you home in South Florida, Lydia? Inquiring minds want to know. So, anyway, snowpocalypse to stitchpocalypse. Let's make it happen. Good morning, Julie. Sorry about that. That's kind of what we're doing. And I'm going to show you what we decided to do really quickly. If you haven't seen it yet, we decided to offer a snowpocalypse 2025 mystery colorway. Sherry and Terry, I reached out to them and said, hey, let's do a super fun mystery colorway. And they said, hey, that's a great idea. Well, their eyes might have gotten really big though, because they've been very, very busy in the dye studio. We're actually going to talk to them in just a second. So stick around to hear from Sherry and Terry. But our Snowpocalypse 2025 colorway is underway. It is a pre-order right now available on the website, and it's not going to be available that long because we want to take it down so they have plenty of time to get it dyed. You can see the color palette there. We're kind of envisioning some blues, icy blues with some of those red speckles maybe, but it's all up to Sherry and Terry and how they decide to dye it. So I'm not making you any promises because I am not into micromanaging the dye studio. But how do you like those colors? They really struck us as beautiful, definitely very snowpocalypse-like. And I'm excited because I'm going to have them dye some for me as well because I'm going to love it so much. So that is available right now. Liz says she's already ordered. Yep. Awesome. And we're offering it in 3 bases, I want to say. Twain, Play-Doh, Rawlings, I think are the bases. And you want to go ahead and get it now. So that's on pre-order. Now, one of the things that I said in the listing is something we're going to talk with Sherry and Terry about in just a minute, because they're in the dye studio. They're in Virginia, Big Stone Gap, Virginia. And they're part of the snowpocalypse. So they've experienced some power outages lately and that sort of thing. And for that reason, we have extended the delivery date a little bit because we want to make sure that they're not stressed out if their power goes out again. So without further ado, I'm going to bring Sherry and Terry back on so we can talk about the snowpocalypse before we dive into WIPS. Here we go. All right, here.
Good morning. Hey, everybody.
In Big Stone Gap, Virginia. And they're
the dye studio.
Sorry, yeah, the dye studio. Look at all that yarn over there.
Yes, we have a lot of yarn to dye up, Michelle. All your bright ideas are going to be translated into squishy, fibery goodness.
Speak up a little bit. We're having a little trouble hearing you, so make sure you speak up a little bit. So how has the snowpocalypse been affecting you all?
We are similar to Kentucky. From the Yarny You that spoke, we still have probably 3 inches on the ground after probably a good 10 days, I guess. And it's been in the 40s for a couple of days here, but it's not melting off of our road. We live back in the woods. So yeah, it took me 3 times to get up my driveway yesterday. I decided
Tell me you weren't sliding down.
Well, I did. I slid backwards twice. But it was okay. We have a Jeep, but I thought I'd be brave and take my Prius out, and it was not the best idea.
That sounds really treacherous.
It was pretty bad. UPS can't deliver to us right now. Finally, we had to go find them and meet them. And our UPS driver actually has our phone number now. And if a box looks like yarn, he texts us and we meet him somewhere to pick up yarn.
Wow.
Yeah. So you got to do what you got to do. All the things, you know?
Absolutely. Terry, how are the chickens doing?
They're coping. They're coping. My guys are staying in their run. They don't want to have anything to do with the snow. The big guys up on the hill, they're used to it, so they're good.
I wish I had a picture to show you of our Great Pyrenees the other day. They were just laying full out in the snow, just happy as they could be. And one of our girls likes to give the paw. So she was sitting by the other one, just patting her on the head with her paw in the snow. It was so cute.
I saw a picture on the internet the other day of a woman who went out in the snow and made a snow angel, and her horse laid down and made like a horsey snow angel.
Oh I love it.
Do you believe that? Totally
Our
crazy.
dogs are like cows. They follow the same path all the time. So we have that path worn in the snow out there.
Wow. Connie Hendricks up in Kentucky said they've only gotten mail 4 days out of
Oh
15.
my goodness.
Wow. You know, our mail people have been amazing, except in delivering packages to Michelle. We've
Yeah.
had 2, and one can't be found right now. So we have
And
30.
it's got a bunch of yarn in it.
Yeah.
Got about 30 pounds of yarn in it. Is that right?
Yep, 30 pounds.
Bunch of yarn in it.
Yeah. Oh, look at you sneaking yarn. Let's talk about yarn for just a minute. So they have
I'm sitting here going, not yet, not yet.
they have some yarn that is actually on its way to me that you'll be seeing here in the shop very, very soon. I'm not going to let them show it all to you, but they just sneak peek some of it. But I want you to show a cuppa. I asked them to dye me up a colorway based on a cup of tea. Y'all know I'm a big tea drinker, and there's more coming about tea soon, but I'm a big tea drinker. And so they dyed up a colorway called a cuppa, and I am absolutely smitten with it. Will you show a cuppa? Yes, hold it up nice and close. Show those crispy speckles. The lighting is really not great in the dye studio right now, so you're not getting the true color of it.
Here's some speckles. Here's some beautiful speckles.
That's on the beast.
This is the beast. And look at that. I love that little color change right there.
I love it too.
Pretty.
And then this one is Play-Doh.
That's Play-Doh. Yeah, a little thicker there. You can see the gauge is a little larger. Well, that was perfect timing. Karen Burnett from Scotland just popped in, and she knows all about a cuppa. Karen, that's our brand new colorway. It's not in the shop yet, but it's called a cuppa.
You know, I've been waiting for 4 years to get a brown colorway.
She got it.
And I finally got it. Thanks, Michelle.
Sisters. So yeah, I'm super, super excited about that. And I'm going to hint about something. There might be some tea for knitters coming to the shop in the next few months. That's all I'm going to say. But a cuppa is one of the new colorways that I believe is actually on its way to me right now. Is that right?
No, it will be Monday.
It will be Monday. Okay.
It today.
And then, Karen says she's sitting with a cuppa right now. And then we've got kind of a little Mediterranean thing. Oh, there you go. We've got a little Mediterranean thing going on too. You might remember Baba Ganoush was the Salinger Pop Club colorway recently. That has grown up on Big Hanks and will be in the shop soon. Beautiful. It's actually a split hank. Gorgeous, gorgeous purples. And then to go along with that, y'all are just getting a preview. I'm not showing you the whole thing. And then to go along with
disappear and let our puppies in right quick. It is a farm.
Yep. And then to go along with that, Fatouche is a Mediterranean salad. And so we've got a colorway coming to the shop called Fat Tush. It's a play on Fatouche.
So what we want you to know about this one is it can be an assigned pooling 2 ways. It can be assigned in this beautiful aubergine, or it can be assigned in this gorgeous green that has some tone on tone speckles. So either way, it's your choice in this beautiful colorway.
So we have told you that assigned pooling was coming to the Olive and To You shop. This is one of the colors that's going to be hitting there. And they've done something really innovative to give you a choice in your assigned pooling, as Sherry was sharing, so that you can elect which color you want to be assigned. So that's very exciting. And if you are in the Soxy U Club, your Soxy U sock set this month is also assigned pooling. I'm not going to show it to you or tell you the colors, but if you get it and you're like, wow, those are 2 really stark colors, and there's only a little bit of this color and there's a lot of that color, it's because it's assigned pooling. If you want to know more about assigned pooling, let me know. I'll clue you in so you can learn how to use it to really make your projects pop. So very, very exciting about that. And so I met with them a day or so ago and said, let's do a snowpocalypse color. And their eyes first went like,
what?
With everything else we got going on?
Actually, what she said is, I've been thinking. And I said, all right, you're sounding like my sister. Because when she tells me I've been thinking, I know I'm in trouble. So
Yeah.
Either Sherry's rubbing off on Michelle or Michelle is rubbing off on. No, that didn't happen because you've always been that way.
Yeah.
So
I think we're sisters.
Yeah. So I've been thinking Snowpocalypse, and you all seem to be loving it because the orders are coming in, and I can't wait. You guys, I need to tell you what my order is too, because I want some Snowpocalypse for my own self.
Well, and let me snowpocalypse you. We're under a winter storm advisory starting tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. until Monday morning at 7 a.m. Another 1 to 3 inches for us here in the mountains. So just so you know.
Okay, so that's why
we ran the UPS driver down yesterday and got our other box of yarn. So we're good.
So that's why, right, you've got all that yarn to dye. That's why we extended the shipping date on the Snowpocalypse, because as I mentioned earlier, Sherry and Terry are dealing with periodic power outages as well because of all the snow and the weather. So we beg your grace, but we promise it will be wonderful and worth the wait. Holly wants me to define assigned pooling, and I can absolutely do that. You can also look it up. It's a really neat technique. So there's a difference between assigned pooling and planned pooling. Planned pooling is a technique through which the yarn has been dyed in a specific way so that you just regularly knit it and you end up with patterns such as argyle or plaids and things like that. Assigned pooling is much more in the hands of the knitter, and the way that it works is whatever pattern you're knitting. There are patterns designed specifically for assigned pooling, but you can also adjust any pattern you have by electing a special stitch. So for example, a star stitch is often used, or some of the stitches that gather stitches that really make that pop. And the way you do it is you knit along in stockinette or the regular stitch for the pattern. And when you get to the color, the extra assigned pooling color, which is usually a stark contrast, you do the special stitch. And then it really pops and creates great impact in your projects. So I'll post a link in the Yarn I Use to a blog post about assigned pooling, so you can learn a little bit about that. It's really innovative. It's a lot of fun, and it lets you really add incredible pops to your projects by utilizing and manipulating the yarn in specific ways. So
tell them that we're working on something very innovative. We'd really like to come up with a yarn, should I say it, that has 4 different assigned pooling areas on it. So you could actually pick one of 4 colors to do an assigned pool with, which would be
or pick 2 and 2 different stitches.
Exactly. So many options. Fun. Yeah.
So many options. So it really gives you a lot of versatility in your project. So I hope that helped a little bit, Holly. So we're going to let Sherry and Terry get back to the dye studio. They've got stacks and stacks in there. I think they told me this morning. All the pots are full. Yep. That's what you told me this morning.
A lot of rinsing to be done.
They are rocking and rolling in the dye studio.
And maybe say we love it. Thank you all so much for your support. It means the world to us. It really does.
It's been a lot of fun to have you guys on board for sure. All right. Stay safe. Stay warm. Stay cozy. Bye.
Break the yarn.
Bye. All right. So that was Sherry and Terry happening in the dye studio. Had a little problem. I hope you all could hear them. I was having a little trouble hearing them. I asked them to speak up a little bit. We're going to do a little better setup for them because they're going to be coming into the dye studio. I mean, they're already in the dye studio. They're going to be coming into our lives a little bit more in the future to show you all the neat things that are happening in the dye studio. I love their creative minds. I love that we collaborate on colorways and share ideas. And it's been a really wonderful thing having them on board as the exclusive dyer behind Olive and 2U Studios now. Okay. I have seen a bunch of you downloading your WIP pages. So I'm glad that we gave that little reprieve so that you were able to do that. Let's talk about that a little bit because 2025 is the year of the WIP. And that means it's the year that we're going to start getting everything completed, or at least making decisions about the things that we want to complete. So I am not going to read all of this to you, but I do want to go over a little bit of it because as I was really considering the 2025 year of the WIP, some things really came to mind for me personally that I thought you might be able to benefit from as well. And to be honest, some of this is just a little bit about giving ourselves some grace and a little bit of permission. So the thing I want to direct you to first is the Whip Off Steps to Success. They're right here, and I am going to go through these because I think they're really, really important. So if you're interested in joining us for the 2025 Whip Off, there's a couple ways that you can do that. There's a very formal way, which is the 2025 Whip Off in the Yarny Use. The product is available on the website right now. It's $40. That gets you the whole year. You get stickers, you get trackers that are pre-made for you, and you get opportunities to earn special things along the way as you hit certain WIP milestone. It's $40 and you get all the things included in that $40, including shipping. So that's pretty cool. I like that a lot. So let me just mention, if you have already registered for the Whip Off, the formal Whip Off, and many of you have, all of you should have received by now an email with a file folder with all of your trackers already in it, so you can print them and you can put them all together and have them ready. If you sign up today or in the next few days, I'll get those out to you as quickly as possible. And then in the next week or so, you'll each be getting a shipping notice, because I'll be shipping to you an envelope that will have your beginning sticker sets in it and a few other small things to get you started, because we've got special stickers and special things to keep you going and incentivize throughout the year. All right. So let's consider WIPs. I think most of us have WIPs. We've either got project bags, or maybe it's our craft closet that they're kind of pushed back to the back corners. We don't want to think about them. We don't want to talk about them, but they're still there and they're lurking. So how can we get these out, bring them into the light, and either finish them or complete them in one of the other alternative ways that I've got for you? So first of all, I did an acrostic for Whip Off. I was really kind of happy with that. You want to write down your projects, right? You can't fix things. You can't confront them if you don't know what they are. So it's a really good idea to go ahead and write down your projects. That might mean for you, you need to go through your closet. You need to go through your project bags. You need to go through all the spaces that your WIPs are and figure out what exactly they are. Now, I'll tell you, a few months ago, I went through every single one of my project bags and pulled out the WIPs, and some of them I just full on frogged. Some of them I literally just threw away. If I only had a little bit done, I was like, break the yarn, toss it. I just want it out of my mind. And that's okay to do. I have a little storage ottoman in the living room as well. I was going through it and pulling out WIPs, and I'm going to show some of those to you in a moment. And they really brought back memories. But the first thing you have to do is look at the WIPs, write them down so you have a list to work from. You're going to then go through, my recommendation is you go through and you identify the quick wins. What can you finish up super quick and get it done so it clears the space, it clears your mind, and you build that momentum from having yet another completed project. So I recommend you write them down, you identify your quick wins, and that is where you potentially start. You're going to want to plan your time. Now, not all of us plan our crafting time, and that's okay. Some of us roll by the seat of our pants. That'd be me. You guys know that I do, even when it comes to gauge. Do as I say, not as I do. But it's a good idea, even within your crafting time that maybe you roll by the seat of your pants, go ahead and schedule some blocks of time to work on your WIPs so that you've planned to do that. What's that saying? If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And how many of us have those WIPs that have been staring at us for quite some time, but we don't make a plan? And as a result, they just keep carrying over from year to year, month to month, and they never get addressed. So I really recommend that you go ahead and plan some time, even if it's just a couple hours a month. Block out some time and know that that's when you're going to work on your WIPs so that you can kind of structure yourself to make sure you take care of that. Organize your tools. This is a big one for me. If I have a project staring at me, but I know in the back of my head that I still have to get like a special notion, perhaps a cable needle or something, and I've got to rummage through and find that, or I need, I don't know, maybe to watch a video about a special technique, or I need another special tool or notion, extra stitch markers, colored stitch markers. I'm not going to do it because that's staring at me. And in order to get started on that, it's a multi-step project, right? I've got to find it. So when you're going through this particular process to write down the projects, identify the quick wins, plan your time, and do all those sorts of things, go ahead and organize your tools. Go through the projects, set them up, and make sure that all of the tools that you need to do it are right there for you so that you don't have to think about that. All you have to do is sit down, pick it up, and begin stitching, whether you're knitting or crocheting. So organize your tools and focus on one at a time. Even though I'm recommending that you plan them all out, choose one, let the rest recede, and just focus on one at a time. It really can muddy up our brain if we're considering more than one WIP at a time. And I think we get frustrated because very often we get frustrated with ourselves for not finishing something. So just focus on one at a time to give yourself some grace. Yeah, Lydia says, I wish I could knit all day and then just block out time to work. That's a great idea. I like that a lot. All right. So I recommend you hang this up in your craft room or keep it in a notebook that you keep at hand and refer to it frequently. It's super simple, but it's a good idea to refer to it so you remind yourself to do these things. And if you have a lot of WIPs, I would also recommend segmenting this process. If you've got 40 WIPs, which some of us might, start with 5 and do this process for a set of 5 at a time. So again, you're eating your elephant, so to speak, one bite at a time, and you're not stressing about all of it because none of us can work on 40 WIPs at a time, right? So I really recommend doing that. All right, onward and upward. This next one, I want to mention, this is the one with the little lines at the bottom. I'm not going to read all this to you, but I am going to talk about it because I think it's important. When you consider WIPs, when we think about our WIPs, why did we stop working on them? Did we get distracted? Did we get bored? Did we decide we didn't like the project? Was there something about the yarn that we weren't enjoying, the way it felt, or maybe the fabric that it was creating at the gauge that we were knitting it? You know, I think it's important to ask ourselves about each individual WIP. Why did we stop? Like, what got in our way that made us not finish that project? The answer to that question can really help us decide how to move forward with it. I am a firm believer in only doing things that bring us joy. And for me, that helps me to clear out certain things in my life. And WIPs are no different. I like it. Deb says, oh, shiny. Exactly. Some of us are very given to distraction. So it's important to consider, you know, what happened that made me not finish it in the first place, because it's possible when we revisit it, we might encounter that same exact roadblock, and then we're back in the same position. So Lonnie says sometimes a more exciting project comes along. Absolutely. I would categorize that as distraction. There's something else that we see, like Deb said, oh, shiny, some other project that just got in front of us and we're like, yeah, I'm done with this. I want to start on that. That happens, I think, a lot, right? But now is the time to go back and reevaluate those WIPs to see if you want to revisit them. So it's important to do that. I think completing a project, now I'm going to be a little loose in the way I use that term. Completing a project can be as simple as deciding to get rid of it. Did I just say that on a knitting podcast? I did. I am also, as much as I'm a believer in only doing what brings me joy in life, I'm also a believer in cutting and running if I don't like it, because it just isn't worth it. Cut the tie, move on, and get on with your life, right? So I think that's where we can define completing a project sometimes as examining our reasons for why we didn't finish it. And then perhaps if we don't want to finish it, deciding that we don't want to finish it, period, end of story. So, and it's okay to either frog it. You can absolutely throw it in the frog pond, rip it, rip it, rip it. Go ahead and reclaim the yarn if you loved the yarn, or you could consider giving it to a friend who maybe would like to finish it up and like to wear it. So that's another way to do it. And another thing I'm going to recommend, and you all know that I've done this, is find a professional finisher to finish it for you. Anybody ever heard of a ghost knitter? Mine is Serena. You all have met Serena, and she's my ghost knitter. It's not that I don't want to finish the project. It's that time doesn't allow for me to finish it very often, but I still want the garment. I still want the project. So there's no shame in finding someone to finish it for you. There are several people in the knitting landscape, like professional people, indie dyers, podcasters, and others who actually find people to finish their projects. So that's another way that you can do it. Or like I said, just give it to a friend and that sort of thing as well. I want to go back. Lydia said something here. What works best for her is organizing project bags with everything she needs to complete it. Pattern, notions, needles. Yep. Pull out the bag and start knitting. I love it. That is such a smart thing to do. Kim says use their yarn for something else. Absolutely. You can reclaim the yarn, find a project that captures your attention, that keeps your attention, and reappropriate the yarn. There's nothing to do with that. Absolutely. And then Deb suggests that she needs more Lydia bags. Don't we all? I've got some plans to help you with that in the future too. So those are things that you can absolutely do it. For me, the biggest reason, apart from distraction, I think distraction is probably number one. The biggest reason for me that sometimes I don't finish a project is because I move towards one, I begin it, and I'm all excited, and then I encounter a technique that just baffles me. And I get frustrated because my threshold for frustration is quite low. Hello, ADHD. And I'm like, I can't do this. I get frustrated. I put it down and I move on with my life. And then I move on to a project that I can manage, techniques that are better suited for me, techniques that I know and can kind of do like the back of my hand. And I think that happens to a lot of people. At least I've heard that from some other knitters or even crocheters for the same reason. So I've got a great example of that in just a minute. So what I recommend is once you're going back and reevaluating your WIPs, many times once you start to pick those up and look at them, especially if they're from long ago, you may find that your skills have leveled up in the meantime. If you've had years intervening between the time that you put the WIP down because you were frustrated and now, you might pick it up and be like, oh my gosh, I know exactly what to do here, because you've developed kind of the mini skills along the way that make you more proficient in the main skill that you need. And I've got a great example of that in a moment. Well, at least the beginnings of a great example. If that happens, if you open up a WIP and you're like, or you put away a WIP because you're like, I just can't do that right now. And then later on, you open it up and realize that, oh, it was because it had this particular stitch, or maybe you weren't ready to do cables and it was a cable project, or it had a particular stitch that you weren't familiar with. Now's the time to look at that WIP, reevaluate it, determine if your skills have improved to the point that you can do it easily, or go ahead and purpose to find a video or some help at your local yarn shop to go ahead and learn that skill now so that you don't encounter that brick wall to a point that it just makes you throw it down again. I really recommend that. And I think a lot of times that happens where we just get frustrated, or, perhaps we had something else going on in our life. Our life was complicated. Maybe you had aging parents, or we were going through a divorce, or a death of a loved one, or the sale of a house, or something that was complicating our life. And so we just did not have the headspace to, with patience, get through that new skill or technique. But circumstances change. So maybe by the time you revisit the WIP, your head's a little clearer. You're not in the middle of a difficult or super intense time in your life, and you've got more of the headspace with which to encounter it and to really be able to think through it. So I really wanted you to think about those things, because evaluating why a WIP became an unfinished WIP, like a work in progress consistently and never moved on to the FO stage, is often things that are happening in our brains or in our lives at the time. And so if we put them away and we revisit them later, then often we have the space to do it. And I think that that is also a really good argument for putting something in the WIP timeout pile that so many of us have. We call it timeout. It's a good reason to do that instead of just necessarily frogging something at the very beginning. Many of us will just go, I can't do this, we'll frog it. And I think there's a place for that if you really don't like either the pattern, or the yarn is not suited for it, or you don't like the fabric that's being created by the combination between the yarn and the pattern. But if it's just that the skill seems ever so slightly out of your reach, or you're bored or you don't have the headspace, I really do recommend putting it in a project bag, putting it away with a plan to revisit it in the future. Judy says she has an incredible number of cross-stitch WIPs. Yeah, this applies to crafts all across the board, not just knitting, not just crochet, but cross-stitch, quilting, punch needle. I may have said that wrong. I get confused between punch needle and needle punch. But all the crafts, right? We're crafty people. Most of us don't adhere to just one craft. And so it applies across the board. Lydia shares her experience. She said she stopped reading patterns all the way through a while ago because it would frighten her. Now she takes one section at a time and try to master that before moving on, learning one new skill and moving on. And that is a really, really smart thing to do. Tara has a recent example. She said work has been so crazy that she had to hold off on her work on her Korean poncho, but it's going to be back later this year. So that's a great thing to do. And I love, Tara, that you're aware of what happened and that you didn't allow that to just make you think, oh, that project isn't for me. You were able to recognize and be aware enough to know that you'll revisit it. It doesn't mean all's lost. It means you're going to wear that poncho someday. You're going to knit it up. You're going to feel great about it. But now just isn't the time. Y'all, we have to make those decisions in our lives about many, many things, not just our crafting WIPs. Think about it. I want to buy a new house, but now's not the time. I want to go on that vacation, but now is not the time. So we have to make those decisions. I want to lose weight, but now's not the time. I've got too many things going on. It's the same exact thing. So I think the kind of takeaway from today's chat about WIPs and this thrust for 2025 on completing WIPs is you want to analyze each and every WIP that you have in your stash or your closet, your crafting closet. Analyze them, allow yourself to be self-aware, ask yourself the important questions, and then move forward with a plan. And I've been able to give you the structure for a plan to deal with your WIPs. So are we in? Are we ready to conquer the WIPs for 2025? I want to show you some of mine, some of which are like ancient. So the first one I'm going to show you, and some of you have been with me for a very, very long time will remember this. Back in the day when the business first started, we decided that we were going to do a knit along, and many of you know this story. We chose the Dunedin pattern by Lucy Haig, who is a great Scottish designer. Beautiful Celtic cables, gorgeous texture on the pattern, and it was a shawl. It was beautiful. And we began a knit along. There were like one or two people who finished that knit along, and it dogged me for years. Number one, you know my love of all things Celtic Scottish, and so I really want the shawl. I really want it. But it was just too difficult. There was a stitch called a 5-in-1 stitch, and I was still a baby knitter. This was back in 2018, maybe 2017 or 2018. And I was still a baby knitter. I had only learned how to knit in 2016, maybe. It was very, very ambitious, way too ambitious for this brand new knitter at the time. Y'all, this is my WIP. That's as far as I got with the Dunedin shawl. Now, to be fair, I think I did get a little further because this seemed really tiny when I pulled it out. I think I got a little further and then I frogged it back. You can see the vestiges of my lifeline there. That unwaxed dental floss there was my lifeline that I put in. And I seem to recall frogging it back to that lifeline so I could move ahead with my life. I have since cut the yarn on that because that's not happening. I'm going to revisit it. I really, really want to revisit the Dunedin shawl because I believe in the intervening years, I've developed skills that will allow me to approach this with a better mindset and a more robust set of techniques and skills that I've learned along the way. So I plan very soon to drag that pattern out of my library on Ravelry, get myself a fresh ball of yarn, and start the Dunedin shawl again. What do you say? Anybody in? So that was my Dunedin shawl, such as it is. And I have to tell you, I was a little embarrassed going through my WIPs. I was like, oh man. But you know, if we can't be honest with ourselves about what we could accomplish or what we approached, then what good is it, right? So there's my Dunedin shawl, and I want to work on it because I want to wear it to Scotland one day. Okay. So another really old WIP was I had started a skirt for my stepdaughter's daughter, Helena, back in the day. This was before we even started the yarn business. Before we even started it, this was yarn from Joann's, and I broke. No, it wasn't. That's not true. I just told you a story. It was yarn from us. It was yarn. I think I dyed actually. This was my pink, and I broke the other yarn, which was the beige, because Helena is now 7. She's not going to be able to wear this skirt, but it was a little bunny skirt, and this was my WIP. And as far as I got, you can see it had the kind of that roll on the hem I was going to have to block out. And it was a rolling skirt. So this is one of those WIPs that honestly, I'm going to roll up the pink yarn, and the rest of it is already broken. I broke the beige yarn, and I'm going to roll up the pink, use it for something else, put it back in my stash, pull the needles out, and be done with it, because Helena's 7 now, and this was for her when she was a itty bitty toddler. It was going to be a little skirt. So there's that. So I already made the decision on that one. I'm just going to like toss these over here. Whee! Because that one's out. Some of these are more recent. I'm going to show you 2 more recent WIPs that I have, and you'll recognize these. So I loved my Gossamer Twist sweater so much that I wanted another one in Snow White. And so here's where I'm at. This is my Gossamer Twist in Snow White. My needles are still attached. It's down there. The yarn is still attached. I still have all the yarn, and that is going to be completed, but I think it's going to go on its way to Serena because I'm on to other things. So I'm going to use a finisher to finish my Gossamer Twist because I know I love to wear it. And that way I'll be able to wear my second Gossamer Twist and put it out of my mind and clear it out of my WIP pile. So that's my Gossamer Twist. Another WIP that you all have seen that's still a WIP. It's so close and yet so far is my Korean poncho. Y'all, this has been languishing. There were so many things that happened over the last few months that I haven't had a lot of time to knit. So my Korean poncho is still where I need to do the ribbing, and then it'll be complete. I still love it so much, and I'm going to finish it because I want to be able to wear it. And this is one that I'm going to complete, I do believe. So you can see how I've made various decisions based on the WIPs, based on how they came to be WIPs, and based on what I want today for those particular projects. So like I said, it all comes down to being aware, making decisions, and tackling them head on. How are you feeling about your WIPs? Are you starting to think about some, or some coming to your mind? I think somebody, Lonnie said a knit along for the Dunedin shawl. Maybe. What do you think? Let me know in the comments if you're up for a Dunedin shawl knit along. If we do it, let's think. If we do a Dunedin shawl knit along, I think what we'll do is maybe we'll do some Zoom nights around it, or we'll do some videos step by step as we get through it. And if I need to bring a consultant in because they're more skilled than I am for it, I'm willing to do that because I can acknowledge my weaknesses as a knitter. So let me know how you feel about it. Are you up for it? I think it's only 1 hank of fingering weight yarn. I think. I could be wrong. I'll check on that. But I'll post in the yarn to use. Also, let me know here if you're interested in doing the Dunedin shawl. I really want to tackle it and see if I can do it now. It's like a big fat challenge for me. So let me know what you think. So Karen says that she had a massive clear out of WIPs back in November. It was liberating getting her needles and cables back, right? Because I mean, I love it when you buy more needles and cables, but let's face it, we don't need 40 in all the same size. So if we clear out our WIPs, sometimes we'll find all those sizes that we absolutely need. Deb, I'm right there with you. I think we've probably all been thinking about WIPs with the advent of the new year. And that's really why I thought it would be fun this year to challenge ourselves in the Yarn to Use to go ahead, let's face them, because the longer things stay in the back of our closet and in the back of our brain, the more they like take up free rent for other things that we want to be doing, right? You know that saying? So let's go ahead and tackle them. Let's get the WIPs done. Let's make decisions to either finish them, move them on to a friend, frog them, or just completely cut bait, cut the yarn and toss them in the trash. Sometimes it's worth it. So Karen says the Dunedin shawl is lovely. Oh, here we go. She did one a few years back for a gift. Maybe she needs one just for her this time. Absolutely. Oh, Lydia, that's great. Lydia says, you just encouraged me to take apart a sweater I made years ago that's too big, I'll never wear, pulling it apart, starting something new, and that's her WIP to be. I love it. That makes me so, so happy. I love it. Yeah. What's the saying? I'm going to get it. I always get these sayings wrong. Fish or cut bait. Fish or cut bait with your WIPs this year. Let that be our motto. There's nothing wrong with saying, you know what, this just doesn't serve me anymore. It doesn't bring me joy anymore. That makes space for the things that we want to do. Deb said she saw Lucy Haig's books when we were shopping at Kathy's in Edinburgh and put lots of patterns on her face. She's got beautiful, beautiful patterns. Hey, speaking of Edinburgh, our Scotland trip is just about closed for registration. If you have already signed up for our Scotland trip, your terms and conditions should be to you by the end of this weekend. I got a little waylaid between COVID and then I was waiting on some edits from the tour company. I got those and I'm tightening it all up now. So I expect to sit down over the weekend and send everybody their terms and conditions. If you're waiting because you're like, I think I was supposed to make another payment. That's right, you were, but I messed that up because I got waylaid by COVID. So I'm extending that first payment deadline out. So don't stress it. Everything's good. All is well. And it's going to be a great, great trip. I've been talking to the tour company. I've been talking to some of our vendors in Scotland. And I'm super excited. I cannot wait to get back over there this year. We're going to do some similar things. We're going to do some different things. We've got a great group that's already lined up, and we've got a few spots left. So if you're still interested, it is still on the website. The link is in your newsletter, and you can register. But seriously, y'all, I've got like 2 or 3 spots left. That is it. I don't want to get above a certain number because I like to keep it small and intimate so we can all get to know each other. And so we can always see everything and we can be fully engaged rather than impeded by the size of the group. So I'm super excited about the Scotland trip as well this year. Okay, so onwards and upward. First of all, as we move forward, I want to tell you all so much thanks for Distaff Day. It was great to see so many Yarny U's. I loved that there were 2 tables right there where I could visit with everybody and see everybody. And it was a wonderful time. Invariably, we have such a great time when we get together. And I'm so grateful for your support and having you show up there. It was a wonderful, wonderful day. All right. To catch up on some other things, I'm going to show you this real quick. You've seen this. This was our sign at Distaff Day. Our 2025 Cancer Awareness Series has gotten off to quite the prodigious start. Can I just tell you? If you don't know what the 2025 Cancer Series is at Olive and 2U this year, every single month of the year, we're going to be putting out a brand new colorway in the colors for the Cancer of the Month. I hate saying that. It's like so sad that we have a Cancer of the Month, right? It's so much more serious than like a flavor of the month for ice cream. This is serious. These are people's lives. But the American Cancer Society has designated sometimes multiple cancers each month because there's so many of them. A Cancer of the Month, and like I said, sometimes multiples. Each cancer has its own designated color, and each cancer has its own cancer ribbon. We all know when we see these ribbons what that means, that it stands for cancer awareness, education, research, and support. So each month we'll be putting out, Sherry and Terry are dyeing up a brand new colorway for the Cancer of the Month. For January, it was cervical cancer, which was a teal and white color. When you purchase the 100-gram hank of the Cancer colorway of the month, you receive a matching stitch marker that Ann Michael from Twin Mommy Creations is crafting for us exclusively for that cancer. And you're also going to get a little informational card. And on that informational card, it has a couple sentences about that particular cancer, but it also has a QR code. And when you get that, if you scan the QR code, it will take you to a page on our website that has a much more robust informational field with all kinds of information, including clickable links. So you can learn about signs and symptoms. You can learn about research. You can learn about support. It gives you a really comprehensive look at that particular cancer. And then you can share it with family and friends or inform yourself. So our 2025 first month, January, for cervical cancer was Teal, There's a Cure. It was a teal and white colorway. We anticipated a certain number of orders for that, but you all exceeded that. We sold way beyond. We sold out really, really quickly. And so we have set up a pre-order for that for January. That pre-order will close tomorrow night. Sunday night, it will close. And after that, you will no longer be able to get that colorway. Yes, Kim, thank you. We're also donating 25% of the profits of the sale of both the 100-gram hanks and the minis to a foundation or society for that particular cancer. We're not doing it all to the American Cancer Society overall. We're doing it to a particular foundation that manages or deals with that particular cancer of the month. So, and that's for both hanks, but you only get the stitch marker and the card for the 100-gram hank. Now, something that I want to mention for the for the February 2025 colorway, we have increased both the bases and the number available. We will continue to adjust that every month based upon orders, but there will no longer be pre-orders based on those colorways. So when they go live, I recommend you go ahead and get it as soon as it's live, because what's dyed up is what will be available. As I mentioned, we will monitor. We want everybody to get it if they want it. We're not trying to like make it really tiny so that it's like this huge urgency thing for a marketing thing. We just don't want to over dye it. And because of the dye studio schedule, we also don't want to have tons of pre-orders at one time happening. We really are trying to get away from the pre-orders as much as possible, except for the fun things like Snowpocalypse or Hurricane colorways. So as a result, as I mentioned, we've increased both the bases available and the number of hanks available for February. That's not available yet, but when it comes out, you'll see an increase in the bases and the number of hanks. But when you see it, if you want it, you need to get it, because we're not going to do a pre-order going forward. That was only for January because we grossly miscalculated the number of people that would be interested in ordering that. I know some of you are still waiting to get your whole year's cancer colorways ordered at one time, or a subscription. I've had people email me and ask for subscriptions as well. So I'm going to make both of those available to you. It'll be a subscription that you can pay for all at once, so you know you're good for the entire year, or it'll be a monthly subscription that'll be ongoing. I didn't want to make it a subscription in the beginning, to be honest, but I've had people email me, text me and say, I want a subscription. I want to make sure I get it every month. So because of that call for that, I'm going to respond to it and we'll set it up as a subscription as well. So that'll be available to you going forward for February if you want to manage it that way. So that way you absolutely, it's like on a set it and forget it thing. You don't have to worry about it. You're definitely going to get it every month. You don't have to worry about it running out. So that's how we're going to handle the 2025 Cancer Awareness Series. And for February, I'll also mention, in addition to the February Cancer, which is bile duct, I think it's gallbladder and bile duct cancer, if I'm not mistaken. The color is Kelly green. In addition to that, for February is also overall National Cancer Awareness Month. And Sherry and Terry have come up with something really special for you in February, in addition to the colorway for that particular cancer. So be aware of that. That's coming to you in February. And again, we are so grateful that, I mean, we know the Yarn-A-Use care. The Yarn-A-Use always show up en masse for anything that helps other people, but just grossly underestimated it. So I need to be a little more optimistic when we're looking at things. So thank you so much. Yeah, Lonnie is saying that signs and symptoms are important because early detection is key. That is absolutely true. I shared in the shop update on the Yarn-A-Use this week, my own sister passed away from colon cancer at the age of 46 and had symptoms for a year or two, wasn't getting the attention that she needed. And then between diagnosis and the time she passed, it was less than a month, just less than a month. So I too feel passionately. Both of my grandmothers passed from cancer. And I too feel very, very passionate about that as well. So thank you so much for your support. Thank you for caring for others. The Yarn-A-Use are awesome all the time. And I'm so grateful for it. I love this. Linda said that her January cozy box was wonderful. A new shiny for her. That's good news. And I'm waiting a couple more days until I know that everybody's pretty much gotten their boxes to show the colorway. So if you didn't get it, you'll be able to see the colorway. Sherry and Terry knocked it out of the park on the palette. And I've got a fun picture to share with you on that. Monica happened to wear a blouse this week that actually matched that colorway. It was like crazy, crazy good luck that happened. It was amazing that happened. All right. So a couple other things I want to highlight on the website. They're in your newsletter. We have bargain bin yarn, and I can't show you all of it. A lot of it's already been bought now. These are some of the colorways, some of the bases that are available in the bargain bin. Some of them have already been bought. I'm looking at them going, I should have taken those out. I've got another bin over there of bargain bin yarn, $20 a hank. And the reason is I've got a couple of big boxes of yarn on its way to me. Needleworks is kind of small, and I'm having to clear out shelves. So we don't do sales a lot, but I think I am going to start running a few clearances, so you'll see them on the website whenever you want to look at them, because invariably we're always having to shift yarn out so that we can make room for new yarn. I'm going to give you a sneaky peek of something. I've shown you a little bit. I'm going to do this in a weird way. I'm going to tilt this up. See that self-striping goodness up there? It has not yet all been processed, but that's actually going to debut at our Solely Socks event, which is coming up next weekend here at Needleworks. So excited about it. I had to close registration for Solely Socks because we kind of hit our maximum, and I'm very, very excited about it. I've got people coming in right now. I'm still live, so if you hear something, you're going to have to unlock the door out there. We've got slow stitching happening at Needleworks, so I think they're cueing me that I need to stop talking. But Solely Socks is happening next week here at Needleworks. Very excited. So if you've registered, I'll be sending you an email with updates about what you can expect. We're going to have sock crankers here. We're going to have hand sock knitters here. We're going to have all the people here for Solely Socks next weekend. We've got sock blank dyeing experience. We've got all kinds of fun happening. So I'll be sending out an email with updates, information, just to remind you that that's happening next week if you've registered. I did have to close registration, however, so we don't have room for anyone else for Solely Socks. But if you're registered, you're really going to appreciate it. Can you close that door for me, please, so we don't get all that noise? I'm still live. And then a couple other quick things I wanted to show you on the website. We've got brand new notions from Twice Sheared Sheep. Now, I got an email from them. These are things that only went live on their website as well on the 13th of this month. I'm excited about all of them. We've got 4 of them, but this is the one that I think is so ingenious. This is the Build a Sock blockers. This means you don't have to have a ton of sock blockers in your craft room. I'm going to pull it out. I wasn't going to do it on the shop update, but I talked myself into it. This is what it looks like. It's these little shiny, glittery puzzle pieces. You've got toes, you've got heels, you've got all kinds of things, cuffs and spacers of various sizes. And they allow you to build a sock blocker in the size that you need. And then when you're done with it, you can build a sock blocker for the next size that you need. It comes with full instructions as well as this cute little bag so you can keep it all together. I am completely enamored with this. I think Dawn at Twice Sheared Sheep is genius when it comes to building and creating notions. And so that's one of the things that we have. I'm not sure how many are left. I know several of you ordered the other day when I went live. We've also got these. These are the cast on stitch markers up to 500 stitches, so you don't lose your place when you're casting on. We've also got these cable identification cord, Snap ID cord organizer tags. That's the word I couldn't think up with tags. These are really smart. You're going to want more than one set of these because as we were talking about with WIPS, most of us have more than one, and our things are like on all the WIPS. And then I love this as well. This is this beautiful, beautiful stitch marker necklace, and you have the ability to slip extra stitch markers on here and wear it around your neck. I think it would look nice with my sweater today. I'm wearing my Yoon. What do you think in that silver? You can put your stitch markers on it, your stitching jewelry. And Monica found these beautiful little packet full of posies. These are posy stitch markers that fit perfectly on that necklace as well. So if you want the necklace and for yourself or for a gift for a friend, this makes a beautiful set. And the links to these are in your newsletter and online. And then, of course, not that I check my gauge a lot, but this is inspiring me to do it. This is a quick gauge checker. You basically slide the boxes over until it matches your stitches, and then it will tell you what your gauge is. I hate measuring it with a measuring tape or a ruler, although you do have a traditional ruler here as well. But this just makes it stupid easy. So a great tool to have, really inexpensive. Put it in your notions bag, and you are all good to go for that. Okay, So just to recap real quick, you've got your free downloads about WIPS. If you want to go ahead and join the 2025 Yarny U Whip Off in a more structured way, then you want to go ahead and do that. That's $40. The link to that is in your newsletter. And of course, you can do your free downloads. Those cost you nothing. You can print as many of them as you want to help you get going on your WIPs for the year. Our Snowpocalypse colorway is going to be available for a very short period of time on the website. If you love that palette, they're going to do a beautiful job on that yarn. I am smitten with that palette. I chose that palette because I loved it so much. It spoke of winter wonderland to me. So you can order that right now on your choice of base, but it's not going to languish for a week or two. It's only going to be a few days up on the website. So you want to order that. The link to that is in your newsletter. If you haven't noticed yet, your newsletter has a slightly different format. What I've done, instead of muddying it up with a lot of links like, here's a description, here's a link, I'm just putting the pictures in. Click the picture. It'll take you to the item. And that way it's a much shorter read and will make it much more efficient for you, I think. So a little fresher look on the newsletter happening forward, but just click the picture. It'll take you, and you can always search also in the magnifying glass in the on the website. I've taken some things off the website. I've added some new features to the website. So if you haven't looked for a while, you might want to take a fresh look at the website, see what you can dig around and find. You might be surprised. You might be surprised. I'll continue to go live in the Yarny Use periodically, typically weekly with shop updates, and also periodically just to have a chat. I like to pull up a cuppa, have a chat and connect, and so that you can stay tuned with all the things that are happening. Absolutely. Monday is a holiday, a federal holiday, so there will be no post on Monday, but we'll make sure everything gets shipped on Tuesday to you. And of course, your downloads are free, and those are immediate for you. And then I'll be leaving out of town on January 29th for a few days until February 4th, I think, 3rd or 4th. But I'll still be available by email and text and all the ways that I'm available. I'll still be working. I work when I go away because I can't stay away from y'all. I love you too much. Anyway, I hope you've had a great day. Thank you so much for so many of you joining me live. Of course, this will be processed, uploaded to the videos on the YouTube channel fully tomorrow. Of course, you can click below if you're watching later. Get your links to all the fun things. Be sure, if you haven't already done so, to subscribe to the channel so you know every single time that I go live so you don't miss anything at all. Thank you so much. I wish you safety and warmth and coziness during the snowpocalypse, and I'll see you in the Yarny Use. Take care. Bye-bye.